back. We're here to read chapter 19 of Weasel. I miss you guys so much. I can't wait to be back at school to see you all. We're on page 115, chapter 19. We started plowing the next day. It was hard work. My job was to follow along behind the plow and pick up any rocks that were turned up and carry them over to the rock pile. There were lots of them. Pa said you'd think we planted rock seeds last year the way they kept turning up. Later, when plowing and planting were done, we'd add them to the stone wall. We worked long days, but it was good to be outside and to feel the dark earth warming in the sun, getting ready to take in our crop seeds. We talked about the dance, recalling this or that, enjoying it all over again in the remembering. Molly teased Pa about dancing so much with Miss Abigail Baldwin, and for the first time I could recall, I saw Pa blush a deep red. He mumbled something and looked away, and I realized with a start that Pa might marry again someday. Nothing stays the same. I knew that now. I thought about Mama and how she'd almost likely be glad to have someone looking after us. I told Pa what Eli had said to me the night of the dance. "Would you like to learn the fiddle?" he asked, looking at me curiously. "Yes, sir," I said. "I'd like to be able to play like that to make folks feel so, I stammered, not able to put words to what I felt about Eli's playing. So good. Pa said he reckoned he knew what I meant. He thought just maybe if we had a good crop this year, he could see about getting me a fiddle, and he figured that on our trips to town we could arrange to have me and Eli get together. "And Pa," I said, "could you teach me how to whistle the way you were doing at that dance?" Pa showed me how to pull my lower lip back tight over my lower teeth, squished my tongue behind my back teeth, and forced air between the tip of my tongue and my two front teeth. I practiced all morning, but nothing came out but a lot of air and spit. Then, as I dropped a big rock onto the pile, a whistle came out. After a few more tries, I stood up, looked toward Pa, and whistled to him loud and long. Job's ears pricked up, and Pa turned around to smile and wave. We spent the rest of the day whistling back and forth, trying to outdo each other. It was good to know Pa needed me, and putting in a good crop and maybe being able to buy a fiddle with the extra money were what I began mostly to think about. A whole month passed by before I even knew it. One day in the middle of May, Pa and I were in the field digging around the base of a stump so we could hitch Job to it and pull it out. Suddenly we heard Molly's voice, high and excited. "Papa, Nathan, come quick!" We could see her standing at the stone wall looking at something in her hands. Leaving off work on the stump, we hurried to where Molly stood reading a letter. She finished and looked up at us, her eyes all shiny and wet. "Read this," she said. "It's from Ezra." Pa and I read together. "Dear Molly, your letter was true. I am going to Kansas to find her kin. Tell Nathan be happy in the hat. Weasel is small now. I remember you always, your friend Ezra." And look at this. It was wrapped up in the letter. Molly held out something that dangled from a thin strip of leather. It was a locket carved from bone and polished and oiled till it gleamed shiny white. There were two rounded halves held together by a clasp. The face of a young girl was carved on the front half, and crude though it was, anyone could see that it was Molly, her wide-set eyes, turned-up nose, curving smile, even her bangs and a hint of her braid. "Open it," she said, her face beaming with pleasure. I pulled open the clasp, and the two halves opened to reveal a lock of Ezra's dark hair. "So I won't forget him," she said softly. "And this is for you, Nathan." She handed me a tall black hat. I took the hat, remembering how solemn and dignified Ezra had looked in it, and how sad. Then I could see his face twisting with sudden hatred when he saw Weasel across the river. But Ezra was going to Kansas now, leaving Weasel behind. "He'll be happy now, won't he, Pa?" "Papa?" asked Molly. "It sure looks like he's going to try," Pa answered. "What does he mean, though, Weasel is small now?" she asked, looking puzzled. Pa looked at me. "What do you think, son?" "I think he means that." I struggled, finding it as hard to speak my thoughts as if I was the one who had no tongue. "I think he means that now he can see so much more." I spread my arms wide to take in the forest and the sky and Kansas and the whole world beyond. Weasel's just little compared to it all. I stopped feeling foolish. We all stood quiet for a minute, grinning at each other, looking at the hat and the locket and the letter and thinking of Ezra's going to Kansas to find his wife's people. Now find Weasel, part 2 of chapter 19.